All right, what's up, everybody? It's John. It's John's podcast. This is my lovely friend Jennifer.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, it is morning. I got my coffee and we are ready to go.
I already had my coffee and now I'm having a Coca-Cola. All right,
Oh,
soda pop.
soda pop. There you go. I mean, it's
Yes.
another way to put it. Nice. I like that soda pop ginger. I actually just thought of that.
South, so we call it soda pop. So, I mean, I know a lot of people really complain about this industry, but I'm one of those that I die hard love it. Even though we have the certain customer who comes in and the code word is rutabaga because here comes trouble.
Oh,
Um, But my parents opened their own restaurant when I was 13. And my mom was general manager for a very popular fast food chain for years, to the point where she actually got to meet the founder and owner. Um, and she always really instilled with me a certain conversation about how when we have other places have customers, we have guests. And no matter how difficult a customer is behaving, you never know if you're making somebody's day. And I always treat my tables like they're guests in my home. Like I'm having a party. And so I'm going to make sure my friends over here have, drinks and snacks. And then I'm going to pop over here to this table, and it changes the culture of how you act with guests. And I've been in management and I was the trainer for the fine dining restaurant I have been working at. And so I always tried to instill that in my servers. But I mean, you have your bad days. I mean, there are days I've had customers make me cry, and I've had managers that have made me cry. But I am one of those that really, really loved it. I thrived off of it. And it was always something that made me feel good about myself. And even when we went in lockdown, our executive chef, the local newspaper reached out to my restaurant to interview somebody, and my chef recommended me, which is really cool. And I really enjoyed that to be able to share how hard it was during lockdown. But I did work for an amazing company, and our owner provided us meals. Like the day we had to close, he had a whole staff meeting back of the house, front of the house, and was like, I'm going to provide meals for your entire family every day. And that was phenomenal. And we'd come pick up our bags, and there'd be milk, eggs, and then a full dinner, chicken, asparagus, just amazing. And when you work in a group that's really a family, that can make a world of difference.
oh
Now,
yeah.
I've also worked with, people and other restaurants where you just want to wring their neck and you hate coming to work. You
Yeah.
know, the main thing you want to do is just call in or just call it a day and be like, I want to burn this place to the ground.
No, I get it. I
um,
definitely understand that.
so, what questions do you have for me, or what topics do you want to go
We
over? I think
we can really talk about any topics or anything like that, like do the tips, large parties, experiences with guests that you've made your regulars with, anything you really want to jump on. We can jump on the first subject. So,
I hate tip share.
tip share
Hate it.
sucks. God,
God,
I
I
know.
hated tip share. I worked for a country club one time, and it was had tip share, and it always used to piss me off because you'd always have those coworkers that were lackadaisical, that did the bare minimum, and they're making the same amount as I am, and I'm busting my keister. I remember one time we couldn't find one of my coworkers. We found him asleep in one of the private rooms.
What? Oh
Legit,
my God.
homie was sleeping. Um, Needless to say, that was his last day. So
I
um,
completely get it. Yeah,
I did
sleeping
love
that.
large parties. Oh, and I have a really amazing story. So here where I live is there's a huge military base, And so there's an air war college. And so I had this group of 25 that would come in all the time. They'd rent the private dining room and they were just phenomenal. So lockdown happened and they emailed our GM and wanted to know if they could have my personal information. So he asked me, and I was like, sure, I guess. And so they told me they were doing virtual happy hours every Thursday. And they wanted to take money every week and collect it and give it to a server from one of their each favorite restaurants. And I was like, that's really generous of you. Okay, here's my Venmo. And she ended up gifting me $1,400. Yeah,
Nice.
from each member of the group because they told me that they knew that I was going through hard times and I had not started unemployment yet. That just goes to show you again, like I was saying, the way you treat people can make an exemplary difference. And, yeah, sometimes they were a pain and it's like, there's 25 of us and we want separate checks and I'm taking care of his bill and we're splitting this person because it's their birthday, and so that can get, it can throw you in the weeds a little bit because you're also, they want tea and they want this, and you go to the back and you start trying to do it and chef is like, I need hands, I need service. So, oh, well, I got to take this coffee, I don't give up about coffee, we need this food delivered hot. You can warm up your mug now and come back and get it. So I'm sure you know all about that.
Oh, the
Uh,
multitasking life and trying to do one thing at a time and trying to do this and that. Trust me, I get it. Especially when you have those lazy ones that don't do anything, that just stand in a corner and just watch everything and complain about how they're not making money, et cetera, but don't want to do the work. I definitely understand that. I take a role in that majority of my daily life in the food industry, because I'm one of those that are just like, all right, like, oh, because like me, I am the one of those that never ask for help unless I desperately need it. I'm one
yeah.
of those. And I could definitely understand when it comes to like hard times, especially during pandemic time with the food industry and stuff like that. It was definitely hard for all of us, a majority of us that were in there, because especially for a lot of mom and pop restaurants, a lot of them shut down. That means a lot of former employees couldn't, work, couldn't find jobs, couldn't find anything. Employment was a pain at the time. Trying to even get unemployment was just another whole task. That was a
Oh,
whole nother headache. It was just a lot. And for granted, for people that were, giving, that understood, it was hard times, gifted that. And it's a blessing in disguise. But for
oh, I
us,
cried when
yeah.
I that.
Oh, 100%. That's an amazing story to tell too, because until this day, there's this a lot of people that still struggle, and for the food industry, it's very underrated. And I always will say this, for us, it's very underrated because a lot of people are not knowledgeable to that we still live off of this kind of stuff. Like we still, this is our income, this is our money, this is what we bring to pay the bills, this is what we use to feed ourselves, feed our family. And for the people that just don't understand, and I get it, for the snowbirds, for the people that come in town and in their side of their country, they go by hourly instead of by tipping, and that's completely understandable because I had, a couple people from other, states that are from Germany or whatever, and they're all like, "Oh, well, do you get paid hourly?" I'm like, "Yeah, but over here in the United States, I'm just gonna let it's kind of disrespectful if you tip 15." And they're like, "Oh yeah," like, okay. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I try to teach that little knowledge to them, so like, in case they ever do come over here on this side, they know to tip right. You know what I mean? And a lot of
Absolutely.
them, yeah, and I get it. A lot of them don't understand that, but it's the next table that can bless you, So that's why I just don't hold that. I just
Well, and another example when it comes to low tips that I'd like to touch on is, like I said, I worked in fine dining. Our prices were high, but it was worth it. Like our food was exceptional. Nothing was frozen. Everything was fresh. Rah, rah, rah. You've got Mother's Day. You've got Valentine's. You've got those holidays where people who don't normally go out to fine dining are making their loved one feel special by taking them to a fancy restaurant, and they aren't going to tip very well. And so I'd have colleagues that would, bitch and moan about, oh, they didn't tip ja ja ja, or they'd walk in and you could tell by the way they were dressed or whatever that they're not the typical customer that would normally come into our restaurant. And I'd always remind them, I'd be like, you know what? They saved up so that they could bring this person that they love here, and normally we make bank, so let it go. You're going to make a 10% tip, but tomorrow is going to be better.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that,
Oh
that
yeah.
we're not the only ones in the service industry who don't make a lot of money. You don't know what that person does for a living. You don't know what they're going through, but they care enough to bring their mama to, fine dining for dinner. Just shut your mouth. Let it go,
Yeah.
you know?
Or you never know. You never know that person just didn't feel like just dressing up. They just wanted to just like, just be in casual clothes, be comfortable, and they could tip you fat. Like the other day, me and my girlfriend the other day, we were just in sweatpants and just casual shirt. And we went to a nice little restaurant, but we tipped the waiter fat. Even if like the service was good, but everything else was slow. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Oh, yeah.
he was attentive, he was nice, respectful, but everything else was slow. Like took us a little bit to get our drinks. It took us a little bit just to get a simple flatbread with just cheese on it. But granted, we're in the industry, we understand what it is. But he was very nice, very attentive, very respectful. And he even offered, it's like, man, I do apologize. It took way longer than I expected. And that was just like kind of just threw us off because he didn't really seem like he cared, but it didn't seem like he was just like how to describe it, like he wasn't like fully aware that it took that long until it finally came out.
Right.
It's like, we'll take care of it for you, blah blah blah. We're like, dude, it's fine. We didn't even realize it took that long, so we still took them good, but and I'm sure a lot of people that were like kind of judging us like, wow, sweatpants to a restaurant, were probably the ones that were being assholes to the servers because they didn't get sat right away, or they didn't get attended right away. You know what I mean? Because I kind of peeped them from a distance. They were just kind of being rude to the server, and I'm like, oh, those are the people that judge so quick for people in their appearance, the ones that are going to judge so quick to how they're being handled in public areas. And then just like that just makes you look doesn't make you look good, and it's just like you got to be respectful for your surroundings and your surroundings, and understand that, from a server's point of view too, like, some restaurants, we got 6 7 tables that we got to handle, and sometimes if we get sat all at once, it's not our fault. It's the way the
Correct.
system is. It just depends on the restaurant, depends on the management, depends on the seating process. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't understand. Like I even saw a group of family actually sit themselves because they didn't want to wait at the host stand and be seated. So they were like, oh, we're just going to sit here. And they sat themselves, grabbed their own menus, and they asked the hostess to give them silverware. And they were just very demanding. I'm like, you're teaching your kids that. Like their kids
Yeah.
were there. And I'm like, don't teach them that, because they're going to think that's okay. And then they're going to get in trouble. And then they can get banned by that restaurant. And then what? You're setting a bad example like that. So for those that are watching, don't do
Yeah.
that.
No, no, absolutely.
Just be
Um,
patient. Go to the bar if you really want to drink or something like that. I'm sure you'll get faster, quicker service. Their bartenders are more attentive when it comes to upcoming guests, for things like that. You can pay as you go, and then your table gets called. Cool, you know?
Even though he or she is also getting tickets
Yeah.
from table. So she's like, and then people are like, I want an old fashioned, I want a specialty cocktail that's not just a quick pour.
Like a
It's not a
daiquiri.
yeah. And you were saying, that you had a little bit of slow service. right now in the industry, it is hard to find employees.
Yeah.
It's because of lockdown, other people moved on.
Yeah.
I know people that went into sales. I have a coworker who moved to Atlanta and got a great job at a car dealership. I have a friend that was one of our top servers. He moved to Tampa and got a great job down there, because there is nothing. And then our town is also a very popular town for tourism, which is in Montgomery, Alabama, birthplace of civil rights. And recently, the Civil Rights Museum just opened. And so our tourism industry was booming right before lockdown.
Mhm.
And we don't have that anymore. And so it really, even though we just reopened, it's still taken a while for that to regain its momentum. Um, but yeah, it is so hard to find help right now.
I definitely understand that.
So, I mean, back of the house, front of the house, and then people complain nobody wants to work anymore. No, they do, but they've had to move on.
Yeah.
We had to. I remember during the lockdown, I started babysitting, for people and was just trying to do anything I could. I was joking I was going to open my own company and call it Odds and Ends and Furry Friends, because I was
Mhm.
walking dogs. I was helping, reaching out and, help. I need, I have no income, I have a savings, which is a blessing. But um, yeah, I mean, it's just hard right now to find staff.
Yeah.
And it's not our fault,
No,
but we're
no, no.
doing everything we can. And so, yeah, it's frustrating at the end of the night. You're sitting there pulling your hair out while you're doing side work and, polishing glasses and silverware, which also is something that has to be done during service. And people don't know that. They don't know what goes on behind the scenes,
Right.
which is unfortunate, just like anything else, there's multiple things that have to be done in order to be successful. I mean, there's that cliche saying, teamwork makes the dream work,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's true.
It is
You know,
true though, at the end of the day.
the tip share thing, you have those few that are on their phone or have to go to the bathroom and just hide, you know.
Hmm.
Or of course there's that coworker who's asleep in a closet.
Catch him sleeping. I'm like, you're done. Go home.
My
You're done.
God.
I
But
get
I
it.
have regulars that I miss that still aren't coming out because some of our crowd was a little bit elderly. Um, but they've reached out. We've become friends on Facebook, and I really miss those folks.
Yeah.
Of course, there was Rutabaga. She still comes in and she is just thinks she's the bee's knees, but that's okay. So,
Right, right.
but I don't want to say mom and pop, but we are locally owned and we have been very successful. In fact, we have, um, since I can't say where I work, but we have multiple restaurants that we've been able to open, which is great. And again, our owner is probably the hardest working man I've ever worked for. His family has money, but he's hands on. He's there. And like I said, he provided us with food during lockdown.
Mhm.
He wanted to make sure we were taken care of. And that is incredible. The management you work with can really make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And managers that I absolutely hated and, did not want to come to work because I knew that they had a crappy attitude and it's just going to ruin my day. I
Right.
mean, I remember one time I was having a rough day though, and I was in dry storage and my chef comes up to me and he's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, this and this and this is going on. And he was like, do you need to go home? And I'm like, no, I need my guests to get here. I need to take my mind off of what is going on in my life and have my customers come in, because that cheered me up sometimes. We'd have like 90 covers on the books and we'd go over that in lineup And I would be so excited that, oh, this couple is coming in. Yes, I love them, and that also was really beneficial to your mental health because
Yeah.
mental health is really tough in this industry. I remember when Anthony Bourdain took his own life, we had a full staff meeting. And I mean, it was incredible that our management talked to us about that.
Mhm.
And they were like, addiction is big in this industry,
Yeah.
you know, depression is big in this industry. We don't spend a lot of time with our families. We don't get vacations. We don't get holidays off. So they reached out to us and they were like, if you're having problems, come to us. If you don't feel comfortable coming to me, come to somebody else. Talk to us, just let us know what you need. And that is incredible. You don't
Yeah.
find that a lot of
No,
places.
really
Um,
don't.
no. And so I feel very blessed. And I've told our owner, if I ever left this industry, I don't think I'd ever work for another restaurant again because I'll never find an atmosphere that is so loving and give a darn about us.
Yeah.
Because a lot of places they don't care,
Nah.
you know.
They're in for the change and for the money and for the sales. And trust me, I work for a company like that as well. And yeah, I definitely understand the selfish when it comes to that. But at the end of the day, if you're there for your people will be there for you, and I take a hold of that and I take that to heart all the time. So I want to come to work, like I just leave the bullshit outside the doors. And sometimes, yeah, like you said, you have your days, you're gonna be not always jittery and happy every single day, but as long as you stay connected and honest with your tables, you'll get honesty money. That's what I call it, honesty money.
Yeah,
Cause
like that.
yeah, because like at the end of the day, you have guests that just want to be taken care of. That's why they're there for. They just want to get their mind shut off, not worry about the problems that are going outside of that restaurant. They're worried about just being taken care of and they just want to get fed and just get what they want. And yes, granted, at the end of the day, we try our best to meet their wants and needs, but sometimes shit happens. There's just things that
Oh
sometimes
yeah,
we're out of, or things happen, or the cook didn't perfectly cook it the way you wanted it, and now it's a problem, so we got to fix that. And it's still not to your needs. Okay, so we'll take care of it for you, but at the end of the day, we just want you to leave happy. It's not we're doing it because we're assholes. Don't get
yeah.
me wrong, granted, there are some restaurants that are straight up dicks. Because I'll tell you what, I had an experience one time, and oh god, I love this restaurant too. Like it pissed me off they had to be like that. So one time there was a group of four of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got there, we already had maybe we had one margarita each, right? And that was just two of us that got there first, and then the other two showed up and they got their two drinks or one of each drink, and then they ended up ordering four shots, right? I was like, cool, four shots. Did that. And then we just got appetizer and then we just started drinking. Maybe we had so after the margarita, I had two Coronas. They had probably two or three more Coronas prior. And then when it came to the bill, we're all like, all right, so they're taking their portion of their drinks, and I'm taking our portion. And I guess the shots ended up coming to my check, which was fine. I was like, whatever. Comes to the check. They said we drank out of four of us that we drank about 30 Coronas in those four shots.
Okay.
I was wowed. I looked at the server like 30 Coronas, and she's all like, "Yeah, that's how much was rung up." I was like, nah, I hate saying this line, but can I speak to your manager? and
Yeah,
and
happens. Even
it
yeah.
sucked. But like I talked to him, I was like, dude, 30 Coronas. He's like, uh, um, I mean, sure you didn't drink. I was like, I'm positive, dude. If we didn't drink that
If
much
you drank 30
Coronas,
Coronas, you wouldn't be you'd be not even able to have that conversation.
we off our ass. And then I was like, dude, no, there's no way. I'm talking to you right now. There's normal conversation. I'm not, we're fine, you know. And
Yeah,
then plus, as a manager, don't you think that's over serving? He's like, yeah, but we checked the cameras, or we checked the status, and we checked all the everything that was rung up. I'm like, you sure your server didn't accidentally overring? Like maybe that was
yeah.
an error. You know, I was just trying to just be understanding, but he was just like, well, you still gotta pay your bill, blah blah blah. And I'm like, all right, that's fine, I'll pay it, but I'm not coming back, man. This is ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I was just so wowed. I was like, come on, man. Like I know y'all did that maybe for sales, or maybe she just was just bringing the drinks out and then forgot to ring it in, maybe overrang. Things like that happen. Trust me, I've I've never done that because like I've always make sure I ring my drinks before serving the drinks. That's just how it is.
Well, we would have to because the ticket would have to print out.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I
you
mean, print out,
bring.
yes, granted, but like what I'm saying is like, say for example, you forgot to ring in this drink, right? But you need it on the fly. Be like, hey, dude, I need this right away. I'll ring it right now. Of course, you still have a second to ring in that drink.
Hmm.
But so that's where it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, how do you ring up that many drinks and it's only four of us? So like when I told him, I was like, that's over serving, dude. And he was just like, he had no words because it's true. I'm like, you need to be a better manager. That's all I gotta say. Cause like it,
I
yeah,
mean, you could have been an undercover ABC agent because we
exactly. And
those
that's
and they will try to trick you. I remember even if like on a brunch, parents would order a mimosa for their 19-year-old daughter, and I'm like, no, I can't serve her. And it's like, oh, it's okay, we're her parents, it's fine. And it's like, yeah, no, that's not how this works. So,
no,
um,
exactly.
but yeah, over serving is definitely a thing. I've only ever had to cut off a table one time, and they had gone to the bar up the street first and then come in for their reservation, got a bottle of wine, had a couple of cocktails, and I was just, and then they ordered another bottle, and I was just like, these people are wasted. And but I went and got my bar manager and was like, you got to go talk to these people because I don't even really know what to say, but I can't serve them again. And
No,
so he went
yeah.
because that's above my pay grade.
No,
you know.
exactly. I'm not gonna get a drink thrown at me because I gotta cut them off. But like, huh?
Did you just say you had a drink thrown at
No,
you?
I'm saying I'd rather
Uh,
not have that because I
uh,
guarantee those they would be like, what? I can handle another beer, boy. I'm like, what? Okay, don't.
slow your roll.
No,
Yeah, no.
yeah. But my thing is like,
I'm not losing my job. I'm not getting fined by ABC. If you get pulled over and you want to come back and blame me, they're going to investigate, and then that's my keister. That's my ass on the line.
right. So
Uh,
you wanna hear a funny story when it comes to that? So,
yeah, absolutely.
oh my gosh. So there was one time this lady, oh my gosh, I'll never forget this. So this lady came in, she was already like blasted drunk. She was already off her ass. So we refused service, and she refused service, and then from there she literally went into the parking lot in her car, called the police on us because we did not serve her. And then she was already like drunk, they can tell.
Yeah.
And they were like, ma'am, are you in a vehicle at the moment? They're like, yeah, I'm about to leave right now. Blah, blah. I just want to let you guys know that this restaurant, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, ma'am, stay where you are. You know what I mean? Because they can tell she was intoxicated. So the cops came in, talked to the bartender and stuff like that, and all this stuff, and uh, pretty much just got the cameras and everything. But I'm like, how do you call the cops on yourself?
I've
Like,
never had any.
oh
But
my God. I was wild. I'm like, you got mad because we wouldn't serve you alcohol because you're drunk. And then you're gonna call the cops on yourself. Basically, at the end of the day, she did. But I was just wild.
karma.
Yeah.
I mean, you
This,
reap what you sow sometimes, you
yeah,
know.
for real, definitely happens. And people that just act reckless. Like the other day we had two huge lot parties. Like we had a 30 top on one side, we had a 40 top on the other side. It was just
Right.
at the same time. So it was very, very crazy. Um, and I believe I'm not one to judge, but I believe it was probably one of these, one of them that got little too, on the drunk side. And long story short, a cop ended up coming later on that night and was basically like, can speak to the manager, etc. I was like, yeah, I got you. So manager came around. Apparently, somebody was doing burnouts in the parking lot, wrecked a few cars, and they
Oh,
just took off. And I was like, oh my God, thank God I parked in the back today. Cause I was I was like, that would have been my shit. I would have been so mad. But I was like, why do you come to a restaurant and act like that? Like no one cares if you have a fast charger or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's just stupid. Like, you have a good time. Yes, you're a little influence, cool. But it doesn't mean for you to act reckless, especially, when you come out the restaurant.
and my restaurant actually has an Uber account,
Ooh,
and
that's
we
nice.
have called an Uber for our guests. And we would much rather pay for an Uber for somebody to know they're going to get home safe.
Right, right.
I, which I think is pretty cool because I've never heard of another restaurant doing that.
No, I mean neither. That's actually a first. I mean, we still use the old taxi,
Mm-hmm.
that's still granted. But like, yeah, like even if that, like if it's really that bad, we're like, hey, we'll get you an Uber, etc. Like, yeah, because we're younger and our generation can do that kind of stuff, but for the older crowd that's just like way too over, intoxicated, they're not gonna know how to function a phone at the moment.
I got a funny story. So we legislative session was in, and like I said, I'm in the capital city. So we had a bunch of senators and stuff in town. Well, one of them got so drunk for some reason he was passed out in the women's bathroom, and the door was locked. We didn't even know where to find the key, and we
Oh
ended up
God.
getting it. And one of his chief of staff was like, I will pay one of y'all $100 to drive him home. And I was like, hey, no way I'm driving this man home. What if I get pulled over? That's a scandal situation waiting to happen. And even
Yeah.
our manager was like, if any of y'all do it, you're fired. Like, no, 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 no. But I will never forget that man.
God.
Oh, that was a trip. So, I mean, I've had a lady fall asleep at a table, and she was also one of those that we were like, oh, so and so is on the books tonight. Oh, no, I hate her. She's such a jerkwad racist, stick in the mud.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she's passed out at a table before. And
Jesus.
her husband didn't drink, and so um
Okay. The
he would,
DD.
always, and we felt sorry for him. We were like, how did they end up together? He's so nice, and she's such a.
Now we got one of those. We got one of those at my job. And one day she actually came in not drunk. She was actually very sober and she ordered a root beer instead of an alcohol beverage. We're like, who is this lady? All dressed up, all clean and not drunk, not everywhere, not shouting, just casual to herself. I'm like, you never know. You never
Yeah,
know.
no, and I've had customers like we get rented out for big holiday parties, like for the hospitals and stuff like that, and we have one of them. She's a doctor, and she'll order a couple of vodka drinks, but it's like, I want, a vodka, but I want a double, and put it in a wine glass. So nobody knows that. Don't put it in a rocks glass, please. And then there are those that are like, put it in a coffee cup. So nobody knows I'm having a cocktail. But it's like, okay, And as far as drinking, it's since we're on the subject, I've had a pregnant woman order a glass of wine, and one of my coworkers is like, "Are you going to serve that to her?" And I'm like, "I am. She's of age. she's not intoxicated, and it's her body. I don't have the place to judge that.
Exactly. The
One of my regulars, she was she was about to give birth and came in for brunch and was like, "Can I please have a mimosa?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." You
especially
know,
pushing that baby out. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry.
she's
Yeah,
ordering 3 glasses of wine. I, you know, do my due diligence and be like, no, I can't overserve you, because, 3 or 4 glasses of wine, you're talking about a bottle in reality on a
yeah,
standard pour. But alcohol is, it's a sensitive subject
it
when it
is.
comes to our job. And, we just have to be careful sometimes. Again, customers don't realize what we're up against as
Yeah,
far as putting our job on the line. You get fired, you get jail time
yeah.
and the fine. Um, so
It's our
it's
responsibility to handle that. And at the end of the day, yes, we're eligible to serve you, but it's our responsibility to make sure we're on top of that, and then that we do it the right way. Because we don't
mhm.
we don't want no trouble, nor we don't want to jeopardize you or your life. But we are reaching up pretty much to that time limit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I have to say it was a pleasure talking with you. I enjoyed our conversation. It was
Well, it was nice to
abs
meet you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just let the viewers know who you are, and that's it.
I'm Jennifer. I'm a server for life. I've loved this job. I mean, I went to college, had a corporate job in Atlanta, and freaking hated it. I'm too much of a people person, and I love my guests. And I, you know, I don't know what I'd do outside of this job. And, server for life, I guess. And once I get too old to do it, I'm just glad I save, So
Yeah.
all the servers out there, save your money. I call it an oh shit fund because you
Oh
just never know.
shit.
Yeah. Car breaks down, something happens,
Right.
So spend your
Well,
money.
that's it. Save your money. Love it, people. Take care of your guests. For all you servers out there and bartenders, this is John's podcast, and we are out.
Toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye.